guys, good morning. This is Wednesday, and you know what we do on Wednesdays. It is about finances. Financial Clinic is here, and we are going to discuss a topic that's going to really touch on you, especially during this festive season. So today we'll be discussing about savings and budgeting, and I'm joined in studio by an amazing lady who is an expert when it comes to matters money. And please ensure that you talk to me and her as we are here discussing this. Talk to us on 20316 and WhatsApp us on 0786 316 316 for your questions, comment, and even compliment. Welcome, Joy, to the studio.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. Yeah, please introduce yourself to our viewers and our audience.
All right. My name is Joy. I'm a financial coach. I've been in the space for personal finance for the last 12 years. This is my 12th year. So I am passionate about seeing people thrive to the glory of God, because I believe God did not call us to be poor.
Wow. Yeah, true.
In fact, when you read Genesis, it says that God blessed them and said, go ye, multiply, fill the earth, subdue. Subdue. Yeah.
Okay, wow, what a powerful statement to start with. Yeah. So now, we're in the festive season.
Yes.
And a lot of people right now, of course, already calculating we're going into Christmas, then January. Yeah. So what are some of the probably steps you may guide them on how to create a budget from this time moving forward, especially during this period?
All right. So one of the things I want to say, and that I have seen work for me and my clients, is that before you go for Christmas, please sort your January bills.
Okay.
Because you realize we just had salary or income for November, and then we have another one for December pretty soon. But the next time we have income is 23rd, 24th, 30th, 2nd, you know. It almost feels like it's 2 months combined into one.
Right.
However, I would say that before you go for your holidays, do your shopping, pay your rent, pay part of your school fees if you have not started already. Okay. But maybe it's a conversation you may want to pick up in January. Because ideally preparing for this festive season is a consistent journey. Okay. It's something that we needed to do from January to this month. However, if you're taking it from this point, pay your bills first.
Okay.
Yeah, so that you don't have to struggle with January.
In January, exactly. Yeah. In fact, you know, most of us should be taking heed here and the advice, because we have free consultancy and advice from you, so we don't want to be in that space of January, really. And like you said, God is not a God of scarcity. Yeah. Okay. And so, how important, you know, when it comes to financial health, how important is savings and budgeting?
I would say, if you look at when God gave Pharaoh the dream about the 7 fat bulls and the 7 very emaciated bulls, what was that about? Savings. During the time of Noah, and God told him, stack up, what was he doing? Saving.
Yeah.
You know, including in Proverbs when Solomon says, you sluggard, come and watch the ant and see what he does. He works very tirelessly and saves for winter. Okay. So it's not like God is indifferent about our savings. He actually cares about how we save. In fact, the historians who say that when Joseph was saving, he was doing 20% of the income. And I remember one time sitting with my friends, and one of our friends asked us, so if you've been tithing 10%, you should have been saving 20. So don't blame God for your lack. Yeah. It's your inactivity or your lack of proactiveness, because count how much tithe you've given since you started working. You should have had double that in your savings.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yes. And so what do you think are some of the common mistakes that we make when we're trying to save or even budget, just like a lay person out there? What do you think are some of the mistakes?
So some of the mistakes we make is that it does not, let me start by not even by a mistake, but to say it does not naturally occur to us to save, because our culture does not encourage saving. If you look at your native language, if you go back, you possibly, like for me, I have my name for yesterday and the day before yesterday. Going forward, I have the name for today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. After that,
that's it.
Yeah, like it's not something that we have cultivated in our culture. So there's that we are really trying to get into this space, you know, literally trying to venture into it. That's one. Secondly, because many people have grown up in not very extravagant backgrounds.
Yeah.
So the aspect of saving when you have lived hand to mouth is something you have to learn again.
Okay.
There's that bit. But there's also the bit that we have not deliberately taken time to be good stewards of what God has given us.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And, you know, because this period, families are together,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
and they sit probably to even try and budget together. How can they do that together to ensure that they're incorporating everyone, including the dependents, the kids, they're factoring in everyone in their budgeting?
I want to look at it from an extended kind of view.
Okay.
And say this. Many times when we are going home, you know, you will do your shopping and I'll do my shopping. How about we join forces?
Okay.
If you need to buy 3 ungas and I need to buy 3 ungas, why can't we buy 6 together? So let me buy the unga and you buy something else and I can do bulk at a wholesale.
Okay.
There's that bit. There are many offers going around. Why don't you take advantage of the offers? There's someone who has extravagant something, there's someone else who is really on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
How about we take on and help each other? Because you see, it's more of, are we living in harmony with each other or not? Yeah, I think we need to get to a point where we become comfortable discussing money in our families and especially in our extended families,
Right.
because we can actually do a lot of savings. A lot of savings. In fact, even the manufacturers right now give discounts to the wholesalers and to your supermarkets. That's why they have offers.
Yeah.
Otherwise, where would they get their profit margin? So if you can only be able to pull together and then buy these things in bulk, it will really, really save us.
Yeah.
Then even decide what to do for the festive season.
Right.
Like have an itinerary the way you do have for a holiday. Because then that will mean that we save on what we waste. Because we are not having so much to be wasted.
Yeah.
We have what we need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, matters finances, is financial literacy. Does it also, you know, is it important for us to also include our kids, you know,
Yes.
just taking them through that? And what are the tips that probably you may share for teens and also kids in when it comes to savings and budgeting?
All right. Maybe I should start here by appreciating my dad.
Right.
What Isaac Aboro-Moshoki.
Wow.
And my mom, of course, my mom, because my parents really inculcated financial discipline into my very young age.
Oh, wow.
So part of the reason why I don't struggle with budgeting today is because that made sure I did it growing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
From what age?
Say about 9.
Okay.
Yeah. No, 9. I started going to Sunday school maybe at 6. So yeah. So my mom would give me coins, like shillings.
Yes.
And there was money for tithe, there was money for sadaka. I didn't know tithe then, but I knew there was money for sadaka, there was money for sweets, and there's what I would give my friends. So it was always save, share, and spend.
Save, share, and spend.
Save, share, and spend after the offering. So why is it important to have kids in your conversation about money? Because you need them to get comfortable dealing with their money as adults. The reason why many of us struggle with money is because we get introduced to money either after we do a business in our adulthood or we get employed. So it's as foreign as you walking into your office day one. Yes. So for kids, I would encourage you to have money conversations on them. And one of the things that I'm teaching my clients right now is to stop telling your children, I don't have money. I can't do that.
Okay.
Because then you give them an idea that money is not something good or they are incapable of handling the money.
But so how you know, if truly you don't have, what are you supposed to say or do?
We will do it when we have it, or we will plan for it.
I think we plan for it because when we have it means it's not there.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will. When we have it, we will do it.
Okay.
For example, when you're going to the supermarket, and this is something I have employed. So initially, you know, I mean, parenthood has no manual. So I also had kids who would go to the supermarket and scream on the floor and say, want this and pick another one, and you know. Then I figured out, you know what? When these kids go to school or to Sunday school and they are taught something, they understand it, right? They started training my babies. You know, we're going to the supermarket to buy bread and milk. And mommy only has enough money for bread
and milk.
So when you get to the supermarket, I give them the trolley and say, what are we going to do? Bread and milk. So they start understanding.
Yeah,
you're only here
you only
for
get what is
bread
necessary, what you
and
plan
milk.
for.
So if you're going to buy a toy, mommy says, I have this much for a toy. So find a toy that fits this much. And you tell them, say if it's 500, it's 5 and 2 zeros. You know? And you will give them a chance to explore that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a bit grown children, for teens, for example, you would want to deal with these kids, for your information, Sally, are getting into the digital space very early.
Right.
So get them exposed to maybe trading graphs.
Okay.
Take them to your circle meetings. Why don't you take your team to your circle meeting?
Wow.
Go with them to the bank. I know if you're insecure, that's going to be something. But even pull your statements from earlier days, from when you started that account.
Okay.
The idea here is to show them the consistency, and so that they can learn that money just doesn't happen at once. Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to teach them, it's baby steps.
How about the budgeting bit of it?
All right. So the budgeting bit of it is teach them to allocate their money, because budgeting ideally is telling your money where to go and allocating it where you need it to go. So I think for me the most important thing, especially with Gen Z and Gen Alpha, so is they need to learn to budget for their needs and not their wants.
Okay.
You need to give them that priority.
Right.
Have them budget for their needs first, and then their wants next.
Okay.
There's that bit. Because they can budget, but more often than not, they'll budget for their wants. And that goes to say that if these children are not engaged in an economic activity that earns them money anyway, because it's child labor, I would encourage you as a parent to be deliberate on how you give them the money.
Okay.
Okay? Could be a reward, could be even a pay for a service rendered. Could be a skill you're encouraging.
Okay.
Could be maybe an activity, a business, something they are doing. Like there are people who bake cookies, or there are people who, you know, make something and they sell artwork.
Yeah.
So depending on what they are doing, or there are people who will do either rare chicken or you know, small puppies and sell. It's still a business venture.
Okay.
Help them. Help them. But for you to help them as a parent, you need to be trustworthy.
Yeah.
You know, we grew up, alright, my mom was all like that. But I know for many people, if you gave your mom money,
it's gone. Yeah.
So I think the other reason why I do not struggle I don't struggle with money is because my parents were honest with my money. Because you see, I did not kind of hold the money, but they held it for me. But when I asked for them for it, it was there. You see?
Yeah.
So you see, if you have those tendencies of you know, just stealing, because it's just literally stealing.
Yeah, it is actually.
Oh Lord, I needed to make a joke. How will you complain about government if you're stealing from your own children? Anyway, so be trustworthy so that they can trust you, and so that when you guide them, they are willing to take your advice.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you talk to us about the 50, 30, is it 50, 30, 20?
50, 30, 20, yes. Yes. So, one, to say that ideally, from I would say that's growth in budgeting.
Yeah. Okay.
For a start, we would want to start with zero budgeting. Zero budgeting is where I write all my needs and I equate it to the money that I have. And why that is important is because it lets you know where I spend my money on and how much I have, and see, is it enough?
Yeah.
From that point, basically start from there. We call it zero budgeting, equating your needs to the money that you have. And if it's not enough, see what to trade it for.
Okay.
What to drop and what you must run with as an opportunity cost. Then after you're comfortable doing that, you can now start splitting it into 50, 30, and 20. So 50% needs to be in your needs, where you're doing your food, your shelter, your clothing, education, transport.
Okay.
If you commute to work or fuel. Between that 50, there are further subdivisions, but I think for now we would want you to work around the 50 as a whole.
Okay.
Then the 20 is savings. but I would want to stretch that to 30.
Okay.
More often than not, we do say that the 30 is for wants and 20 is for savings. But I want to say that it is important to invert it so that the 30 is in the savings and the 20 is in the wants. Why? Because you're looking to have a 10% for your emergencies, a 10% for your retirement, and a 10% for your children higher education.
True.
And especially with the higher education financing model that we have right now, I think, Sally, we need to have that conversation someday, because it is not business as usual, especially for people who went school through JAB.
Yeah.
Right now, you need to be deliberate about planning for your children higher education. There's no two way around about it. You don't want to get there and get shocked, because if you don't understand the way that model works, you'll be in for a road shock. Then emergency fund, I do not think we can emphasize this enough. And the reason why many people are in debt is for the 2 weeks that we are headed.
In fact, that's a question that's coming through. Emergency fund, how important is it?
It is very important.
Yeah.
And very important because if you do not have an emergency fund, you will always resort to debt. And we thank God for the technological advancements we have had in the mobile money and fintech spaces in Kenya.
Yeah.
Because with the advance of M-Pesa, then you have a lot of mobile wallets that are willing to lend you. The good thing about these things, they don't make noise. You know, it's not like a Sacco loan, I'll come say sign for me here.
Yeah.
Here I just keep quiet and...
It's between you and your phone.
Yeah, it's between me and my phone and the people on the other side.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or the bot are praising me.
Right.
So the fact that it is very private, then that makes it very lethal. Because it's like a cancer that grows and grows, and before people can see it manifest, it's really drowning you. Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of shopping going on right now. You know, I'm focusing on this period because it's important to talk about the savings and budgeting around this time.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the ways that are overlooked and you can just be able to save money when you go out to buy your groceries, your shopping, for example? What are some of the ways that are overlooked? But if you follow that, then you'll be able to save some money hapa na pale.
One, a shopping list. Shopping list. And I want to say this, that for the sanguines, yeah, you know, the people who are called by signs, if you put on that Christmas tree and tell me offer, I run, you know. I think the most important thing that we need to do is have a shopping list.
Okay.
And do it from your house. Don't do it from the supermarket.
Okay.
Do it from your house. Because at that point, then you're able to pick what you need, not what we want to sell to you.
Yeah, yeah. Because they're in business at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. They also pray God for business, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's you to be prudent. Have a shopping list. Be deliberate on what you're gonna buy. And why that is important, the shopping list will be guided by your meal plan, for example, because there's a lot of cooking going on now.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it will be okay to do more cooking than eat out.
Okay.
Because there's also that bit. It's more cheaper cooking, as inconvenient as it is, but in the family of Christmas and, you know, family, I think I live for those moments where I am in the kitchen having stories about who is rolling chapo there and who is doing beef here and who learned how to do a new dish there. And, you know, all this noise and catching up. I mean, that's what, but why do we go to Shago on Christmas? So that we can gel
connect,
and connect through that season of cooking and serving, you know, and all these things, and laughter and joy.
True.
So I think have a meal plan. Decide what you're gonna cook. Then that helps you determine what you're gonna buy. Yeah. And so that you're able to take care of the offers that are in line with your shopping list. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, not everyone will be using, you know, their cash at this point. And thank you so much for engagement. I can see a question here, Joy. Someone is saying, good morning, Sally. I'm enjoying the show. It's Christmas season. Is there a way you can really avoid black tax pale Ushago?
No. No. But you can manage. I want to say that unlike the white people of the West, where they are capitalists, you know, independent, In Africa, we live by Ubuntu.
Yes.
And that would also explain why our circles do very well, because we believe in the power of masses.
Right.
Also to say that, yes, I'm alive to the fact that the black tax is a burden. And I also want to appreciate my parents because they don't black tax me.
Yeah.
And neither does my family do that. So I'm very grateful for family.
Nice.
And there are two ways to look at it. One, be deliberate on how much you spend on your family.
Okay.
Have boundaries. Have boundaries.
Yeah.
Because it is not godly. As much as we will say that he who does not take care of their family is worse than an infidel, but there's also that part that says, love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't understand how to love yourself, then you're being manipulated to love your neighbor more than you love yourself. So I would want to ask you to be conscious of what you want to do for your family and stick by it. Sometimes it's deciding how much you will spend on them on a monthly basis. Sometimes is you taking the initiative to go the extra mile and set them up for success. For example, how many of our parents don't have a way of income, and so they rely on you to, you know, send them something at the end of every month, but they have space and time that can allow them to do so much. So what can you do? For example, can you do dairy farming? Can you buy them, I mean, go the extra mile. It's going to cost you, but it's going to set you free in the long run. There's that. There's also the issue, and I know this is very thorny, of educating children, especially for the people who are ahead. Now, you have to choose whether to take care of them maybe for a span of about 4 to 8, 12 years, or have them on your back for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Because it is better to teach them how to fish so that they can always go to the lake and fish than be on your back waiting for you every other time to bring them fish. Then there is also just saying no. No is a complete statement. No, I am not doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think at this point I want to challenge us in our generation, because if you don't like what you're doing or what it's being done to you, then tomorrow you're the one in those shoes.
True.
Will you like it, your children, that you're the burden? But now, unfortunately, Gen Z and Gen Alpha really don't care.
Yeah.
You know, the way as we were guilt-tripped and growing up, even if you got into a matatu and someone is older, you stand, whether you know them or not. Try that with your children. Questions. They don't know what that is, and they are like, but the car is full, why didn't you get in? You know, they are logical, and that's the space we are in, and we have to allow ourselves get out of the bad habits, and that means, to start with, we must start planning for our retirement today. Okay, retirement. I think that's something we may touch on. And also there was there's another question. Good morning, Sally and the money guest. My questions are for young people. How do you recommend people tackle debt while also trying to save money? And then, so that's the first one. And then what's the first thing you should focus on when it comes to saving? This for the young people, probably getting into the job market. So number one, I would say that they need to start taking care of the emergency fund today. And maybe to just go back to the emergency fund. We have always said that you need 6 months of your monthly bills saved up. But I want to extend that to 3 years. Why? Because COVID lasted us 3 years. So for someone who lost their job, say in December 2019, would say fully recovered December 2022, 2023, thereabout. You know? And so it is not business as usual to say that is enough to just have 6 months. And even in the event of an accident that incapacitates, it takes 3 years to fully recover, you know, back on your feet. To know how to do things. In the event of loss, it will take the family 3 years to mentally go back to the place of indemnity, as we call it in insurance, to be able to move on
Okay.
under therapy. So I would want to say start with 6 months, but grow it to 3 years
Okay.
of your monthly bills.
All right.
Yes, saved up.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were, I think there's a conversation just before, there's a topic we're discussing just before the break, and it was about managing credit cards and also debit cards. And I know a lot of people will be going into the shopping malls and stuff using those cards. How do they manage this?
All right. Very enticing. I've been there. So one, take a limit you can clear in a month.
Okay.
Okay. If you have a limit that you cannot clear in a month,
Don't.
you're in a trap. Okay. However, if you're able to settle your credit card and still have enough to use, then that's fine, because a credit card can as well be free money for you. So long as you're able to settle it in full before the due date.
Okay.
Yeah. And still have money, not like I'm paying, then I use it again, and then I'm paying, and
Yeah.
you know, there's a cycle. Then there's the convenience. So if it's a cycle, then there's a problem.
Okay.
If it's convenience, then that's fine. However, for credit cards, I would say it is a silent debt that we need to look into. It gives you esteem because it's a swipe away.
Yeah.
You know,
You can't get stuck.
nah, you know, you can't. There's also people who extend discounts if you shop with who. There's also that bit.
Yeah.
But measure whether in the event that I go to this level of money in debt with my credit card, would I settle?
Okay.
Because definitely it accrues interest. And if you default, it still rates your credit
Okay.
in the bureaus. So if you find yourself in the bureau because, you know, your credit card non-payment, then that damages how well you can access credit in a bank. And especially in a time like now when the economic is not doing so well, then when banks are advancing new credit or circles, they'll be very keen to see how you manage. Because for me as a financial, where I would sit is, you know, a credit card does not, is very personal. You know, I expect you to pay as you use it.
Okay.
So if there's a lapse here and we have to keep reminding you, what about higher credit in terms of a loan?
Okay.
How well will you be able to take it on? So there's that bit. And also to say that one of the reasons why you'll always result to your credit card is because you had no emergency fund or you're living beyond your means. So we need to get comfortable not being able to afford some things.
It is okay.
We need to be comfortable that we are not able to buy this for our family. We need to be comfortable that we will not make our names this Christmas. Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
The people, a lot of people are in the gig economy, a huge percentage, I think, I believe. How do such people then budget and also save, you know, and also have a good time again at the same time during this period? Yeah.
And I want to appreciate God and this country for growing to this level, because in my father's time that was not a career.
It wasn't, yeah.
It wasn't a thing. But we thank God for where we are at. So one, because you get your money as a lump sum, the first thing to do is move that money out of your account into a money market fund.
Lump sum, gig economy. Someone for Kibarua today, 500 tomorrow.
Yeah. I was answering for the, you get this lump sum and...
No, this is someone who maybe I'm Jengo here, Mama Mboga there.
Okay. Want to say, so long as they're getting income, that's fine. So how you manage your money on a daily basis, always save something. The idea here is not how much. It's the discipline to set aside a little thing. The discipline to set aside that little thing. Because you see, even if you had, say, 999.99 and you needed 1,000, 1 shilling is going to deny you the opportunity. So it's really not about the amount, it's about the discipline to set it aside. So I would advise start between 10 to 20% of what you get in a day. Set it aside. Always. And as Warren Buffett says, if you don't become deliberate to save and you buy, soon you'll have to sell what you need. Or what you because you can't have enough cash flow to sustain your lifestyle. So I think for me the most important thing is save kidogo kidogo. Yeah, and many of our banks, many of our money market funds have the opportunity for you to deposit even via pay bill.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so take advantage of that. We need to get comfortable relating with our money nicely, the way you relate with your friend.
Yeah.
Yes. And get yourself equipped to know what is it. Because, for example, if I bank with XYZ Bank, they have a pay bill that I can use. So I do not necessarily have to walk out of my kibanda and go to the bank.
Yeah.
From the comfort of my phone, I can make a deposit.
Okay.
Yes.
All
if
right.
they do not have what do you call them, agency bankings, or the ones the retail banking sectors.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think there was a question, I don't know if we had tackled it. What's the first thing you should focus on when it comes to saving money for the young people,
Yes.
the ones who are coming to that? And
uh-huh.
also there's a question about help. So here is a student who is who has a loan, but they also want to save. So how do you factor in that loan into your budget and savings?
So is the loan the source of income, or is it an expense?
No, it is an expense. But you see now, as a young person, you're starting to save, you're starting to budget, and you must take care of that loan, isn't it? You must pay it. So how do you factor that in and just try to balance that and include your savings and your budgeting, in, with that in it?
Okay. So I would want to look at help being payable per semester. So the first thing you need to do is, I think, Sally, for me, the most important thing is to break down these amounts.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because every time you have a lump sum, you I don't know whether you have this feeling, you kind of feel very liquid.
Yeah.
You don't think very straight.
Something happens to your thinking, eh?
And anyway, God created us in the extravagance. You feel very generous.
Yeah.
You almost are saying, what did you struggle again with? Just come
yeah.
I'll sort
and
you
also
out.
rewarding yourself for nothing sometimes, eh?
Yeah. So one of the things I would want to say, they need to be deliberate to budget their money.
Yeah.
Because if this money is supposed to last you 3 months, then literally break it into 3 chunks.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. And say now, so that you're able to look at this money per month. What is my food? Do I need books? Do I need... So the first thing for me for that kiddo who has help is to budget.
Okay.
Identify all your needs and alive to the fact that there are people who will take help to also take care of their families back home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So write all those things down. Start by writing them down so that you identify what are your use points.
Okay.
Then allocate the money to it. Then you'll think clearly. Meanwhile, these 2 chunks are not in your bank account. They are in a money market fund. And I'm insisting on this because a money market is easily accessible.
Okay.
Yeah. And can be taken on by anyone who has an ID card, meaning they're 18 and above and a KRA pin.
Okay.
The normal KYC.
Yeah.
But for little children, like what I would do with my children, is open jumbo accounts for them within my money market. That is possible by all providers around.
Okay.
Yeah, you see? So I think for me is to be deliberate. Because at the end of the day, remember, and this is what I need to go out to our students, that this is a loan that accrues interest. So you must make use of this money properly, else you're going to feel the pinch and the pain and the anguish of paying money that all you remember doing is eating it up, patting it around, and then it appears on your payslip every month, religiously without fail. And if you don't pay, you'll send a demand notice. And your HR calls you, you have help that you never pay. So, I mean, make use of it because it's gonna appear on you anytime in future until you clear the
reminder.
Painful reminder. So you choose it to be a painful reminder, or a thank God I did this. So choose how you wanna feel.
Okay.
In future, when you see that deduction on your payslips, versus what you're gonna to do with it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had mentioned something about retirement. We just, but how can one, there are people probably who are watching and they're planning to go for retirement. How can one then decide this is the much I need to save for my retirement, and how do they go about it?
So I want to take on the people who are just about to retire. They either have an amount they have saved or not. But I think the most important thing for me is sort housing.
Okay.
Sort shelter. That is very important. You don't want to be, running around paying rent, especially if you're paying it from your pocket or from your savings. I would rather think that you better sort shelter, unless you're depending on business, so that the business income is able to support, there's that bit. But for the people who are younger, and I think this is to answer the question, why do I need to think about retirement when I get employed in my 20s or in my early 30s? So give or take, roughly how much do you spend in a day? From mornings, from the breakfast you took, maybe you took a snack off. Give me figures. Let's work with it.
Probably 100 bob.
100 shillings. Yeah. Took 10 o'clock tea with a mandazi. That's about what?
They put a 50, depending on where you are.
Yeah, 150 lunch.
200 minimum.
So we are up to 500. Chaya sakumi?
Yeah.
How much
there
is that?
You go. Probably another 50 bob, a mandazi or mahindi, something.
So 350. Supper?
Yeah, supper. Now most of us go heavy. Not, of course, it's not the right thing, but put it even at 300. You bought nyama, skuma, something. Yeah.
So 350 plus 300, 600. Assuming you're cooking. Okay.
Yeah.
So 300 per day. And you see, unless you're fasting, how often do we fast? Times 365 days in a year. If our viewers and listeners can do the math, times, you see, if you say retire at 60, then the oldest person in your family, this is genetics, has lived for how long? I have had people in my family who've lived like 94 years, 96. So, and some are tuning 100 plus.
Wow.
So 60 to 100, that's 40 years. That's food only. And now, at that age, because of health issues, fasting is also not very welcome.
Yeah.
Wow. So you need to make sure, and this is the message I want to pass, savings alone will not sustain you in retirement.
Okay.
You need to have a system, a business, an investment, a venture that turns or makes you money. Whether you're doing farming, whether you're doing retail trade, whether you're doing service delivery, but you need something that will operate without you being actively involved to make you money. Else, you are the one offering your children black tax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the strategies? Maybe people go through transitions. Could be death, divorce. What are some of the strategies that financial strategies one can use to just get through such transitions in life?
So I want to look at two things. One is divorce and death. So I want to start by saying there are tools that can help people manage transitions, like trusts. Yeah. And I say Lion has a very, a very good structure of trust in different levels and ways. Because then you're able to give you instructions in the event that I am not here, then what happens? And especially for small children.
Okay.
To start with, I want to say that if you're already a parent, you need to identify who is a guardian for your children. It is a mistake for you to go through life without being deliberate to say, in the event I am not there, Sally, I want you to take care of my children and be deliberate about it.
Yeah.
Number two, you need to have a will. Speak yourself out. And don't wait until the last minute and we keep saying, oh, I will live so many years and I will follow the Bible and, call my children, I'm old. So what if you don't get old? Because we have those
scenarios. Yeah.
The other thing is that let your family know what you own. Yeah. And maybe this needs to be handled under family and finances.
Okay.
Like what my pastor would say, do you have a juice budget, a blended juice budget, or do you have a githeri budget? Like you can easily sort out the maize and the beans together. Or is it blended together so that I really can't tell what's in here? It's, it's combined. Because then if people don't know what you own, what you have, but also there are people who are uncomfortable having those discussions with their family, then update your beneficiaries, their details, every time you have a chance. For example, did you know that M-Pesa has a next of kin detail?
Actually, there was something about M-Pesa. Was it yesterday in the papers? 3 billion is out there.
UFA.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to, in fact, there's a way to check who is your next of kin. There's a USSD at star something.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you can check and update. Please do that. Keep
Okay,
updating.
okay.
When you, like now, for example, most of us got employed very young. Did you update your beneficiaries when you got married?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit. If you're in a space where you can have joint accounts, please do. Property needs to be joint. And maybe we need to look at this one when we are doing estate planning someday. The danger of having properties under one person when it is family property, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
But for divorce, then in this case, I would say we need to be deliberate to take care of the children, especially when they are very, very young and dependent on us, that they will not suffer the choices of their parents. Yeah.
True.
And that means that we need to be deliberate into either even setting up funds for them, like education funds, setting up trust funds, identifying a third person, a third neutral person, in this case the guardian, to always give, you know, sometimes when things are heated, you need someone who is neutral.
Yeah.
There's that bit. And there's also therapy. Money is psychological. If you're not handling your baggage, you're bringing it into your financial journey with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You talked about next of kin, and so there's a question someone is asking. So do you need to inform, like, Joy, you're my next of kin? Do you need to let them know?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
All right.
But make sure, for example, if you wrote me and I changed my, say, contact, my phone number, go and update.
Update that.
Those are the things I'm talking about. Because if I changed my phone number and I'm the next of kin somewhere, how will they reach me?
They won't reach
They
you.
won't. And that is the 3 billion we are talking about, and that is M-Pesa only.
M-Pesa only.
Have you looked at the figures for the banks?
Right.
Have you looked at the figures for the SACCO? In fact, in one of the radio shows recently, someone was saying that they live in one of the uptown estates, and they were paying rent to some guy. Then the guy doesn't come anymore. That's 300,000 per month in rent. Ajui atapeleka wapi? But the guy doesn't come. He has tried to look for that man.
No
Nobody
relatives
knows.
showing up. Yeah. You talked about the will. I remember hosting someone here, and they talked about nowadays people don't do wills per se. What do they do?
Trusts. Trusts.
Sorry?
Trusts.
Trusts.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Could you speak briefly about that as we wind up?
All
you know,
right.
we're coming to the end of the show.
All right.
Yeah.
So trusts are good alternatives to wills. One, because they cannot be contested in law. There's a case that was in the public domain, and I really want to thank this family, the Jenga Karume family, because through their pain and their journey through the trust, they allowed us to have our laws amended. Yeah, to incorporate, including someone who would call a prefect for the trustees, and that to say that what you write as the owner of the trust cannot be contested in court of law. That to say that my word is a final say, and whatever I write and say needs to be executed, that is exactly what needs to be done.
Yeah.
But point of caution is that if I have a living trust where I'm interacting, because a trust is basically, you know, the way I would say, hold this thing for me in trust.
Yes.
So I'm saying, I want to set this instruction or set up this structure while I am here.
Okay.
And this is how I would want my things handled in the event I am not here. But for a living trust, I'm going now into the types of trust. The living trust allows me to get in things, the ones that I buy, and remove the things that I sell. To add on the people that I want and to remove them. And for me that is important, because as the children come there, you need to keep adding them. Because if you leave them out, there is no way of adding them after you're gone.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And the trust needs to be executed by you alive, not you dead.
So that's the difference between the trust and the will.
Needs to be executed by you, like you need to set it up.
Okay.
And I would say that you can either do this through, IC Leon has a trust arm, the trust company. Advocates of the High Court also can do that. So you choose whether you want to deal with an institution or with your advocate.
Okay.
Now, for people who have had long-standing relationships with their advocate, now that may work. If you have no place to start, then reach out, we can help you.
Fantastic. And we are going to end it there. Unfortunately, there's so much I think we can talk about when it comes to savings and budgeting. You know, I believe they're the foundation of finances, I believe. So I'm not the expert here. But I want to thank you so much, Joy, for creating time. I really appreciate that. And for our viewers, wherever you are, our listeners, I just also want to say thank you so much for always keeping it here to get to learn about money matters. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your interactions. You've engaged us and asked questions, and I believe you've gotten some tips and some insights on how to handle your money, especially around this time when most people say, wacha tujiwachilie, turudishie mwili, shukrani. Yeah. But as you do that, Joy has just told us, you know, very well, just budget about it, save, do the important things first, including buying uniform, sorting out your rent, even if it's partially, then come next year, you don't have to suffer with the January. Yeah. So we're coming to the end of the show for today, and we want just to say thank you even to our donors, people who've been holding our hands throughout the season, throughout the years, holding us and just ensuring that we remain on the airwaves just to spread the word of God and just to impact lives, you know. So we want to say a big thank you. God bless you. And if you want to be part of this, just send your donation to pay bill number 316316, and your name is the account name. Thank you so much. See you again tomorrow on Relationship Clinic. We'll be talking about faith and love in relationship. God bless you, keep you, and shine his face upon you. God bless.